Welcome back to Walsall Fan TV. Next up, home to the Gas, Bristol Rovers. And so we're going to be talking to Josh. Hi, Josh. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, mate.
Hey, I tell you, it's life back in League Two. How are you finding it so far?
Yeah, it started off very tough. It was a bit of a hangover from last season, I will call it. It was very quick. It was very tough to adapt. Really, it's really physical, but I think the effort and the mentality was there from the boys. It maybe just was obviously coming in with a different manager, etc. was really tricky. But losing 3 in the league consecutively and 4 in all competitions was a real wow, because we were really optimistic that we were just going to kind of come in and put, especially in that first home game against Harrogate, we were really hopeful that we were going to come in and do a job. But it does take some adapting to get used to. It's physical. There's a lot of nous to be able to win games. You have to be a little bit more, comfortable with the dark arts to win, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think you're not wrong there. You're not wrong there.
We seem now to have kind of worked that out slightly. So I'm hoping now we can properly kick on. And we've been doing well since. Also, as well, Darryl was playing a back 3, back 5 for a while, and then when he shipped that out and said no more, we've looked a lot better, which us fans were calling for. To be fair.
Well, so you've switched to 4 at the back now.
4 at the back. We did actually play a back 3 last game against Salford because we've had a bit of a torrid time with injuries at the minute. So we did start with a back 3 against Salford, but we then very quickly abandoned that at half-time, went back to a back 4 and won the game. So every time we look in we start in a back 3 or 5, we don't look great. But when we're in a back 4, we look dangerous. So we seem to have found our formation that suits us now.
Darryl's quite comfortable to switch things round if he doesn't think it's working. I can remember from his time at Walsall, lots of people gave him grief from our side of things, particularly when he was at Port Vale. But I quite liked him, to be honest. I think he's a good manager. He's a good manager for the level, and bit of a tinker man perhaps, but he's doing all right, isn't he? His time at Walsall, thought he was going to do stuff, and then we did a classic and got rid of a star striker when in January, and then it all fell apart. And I think that was probably a bit of an undoing for him. What I want to touch on is you got promoted from League Two last time in 21-22 season, 17th, 15th, and then 22nd to get relegated last season. What sort of went wrong, and what do you think we need to be aware of if we do get promoted?
I think what went wrong, summarized in one word, is everything. It was just so bad from the top to the bottom. And I will start off by saying that I'm one of the most optimistic of Rovers fans, and quite a lot of the time I get clipped and I get laughed at for being so optimistic. But I thought the recruitment last season, there was no other feeling to feel other than optimism. We signed Hutch from you, we signed Shaq Ford, Satiriu, Promisoma Cherry, we signed, Taylor Moore, Clinton Mola, big players, Josh Griffiths on loan. Obviously that really hurt us when he went back. We were so, on paper, so good with recruitment. But we very quickly found that being good on paper does not correlate to points or wins. And we could just never gel. We just never gelled on the pitch. It then started to come out that the owners were getting involved with team selection and who they wanted to sign. It was very much a kind of a sinking ship kind of feeling, that job for a while was just going one way. There is a funny statistic, Simon, actually, that every 3rd season in League One, we get relegated. And that has been the same for the last however many years, 15, 20, maybe even longer. Every 3rd season in League One, we go down. And it just seemingly, I mean, the word inevitable comes to mind. It just seemed inevitable come February, March, that it was only, one way that we were going, because we were losing every game and Burton were absolutely flying up the table. So it just was a real calamitous season. I haven't felt that disconnected from my football club ever. It was so bad. It was so poor. Nothing went our way. We were awful. There was no fight, no passion. I think to answer your question about what do you need to be aware of when you come up, if you come up.
No, I'm not getting carried away. It's just the hope of getting promotion.
Last season was your chance to get carried away, right? And then it all just came crumbling down.
Well, after last season, we won't have any expectation of promotion really until probably end of April, perhaps.
That's fair. If you are to go up, I think you need to recruit well. You need people that have been there, done it in the league. You need the kind of the dirty footballers, not the pretty ones, the ones that just get the job done. And we just didn't have enough of that. I mean, a fellow podcast colleague of mine called Neil was such a big fan of a player that we had in that 21-22 season called Paul Coots. He was our captain. And looking back on it now, he offered so much to our side in the way of, slow the game down, go down, tie your laces. We never had any of that last season. The dark arts, we didn't have any of that last season. We could never, in losing positions, we looked like we just absolutely pooped ourselves. We never knew how to see out a win. Winning positions, we never knew to see how to win. And in losing positions, we never looked like we were going to come back into games. I don't know what it was. It was just such a disconnect. It was such a disconnect last season. So if you do go up and, have a manager that is making the decisions in the back room of who they want to bring in, you got to bring people in that are right for that league, and not just signing everyone that looks good on paper or Football Manager. It didn't work, and I was gutted because I was so optimistic. I think I said we finished 10th. We finished 22nd. It was abysmal, Simon. Absolutely awful.
What we mentioned Hutch very briefly. What do you think of his time at Bristol Rovers?
I think Isaac Hutchinson, in my opinion, is one of the most frustrating footballers I've ever watched play for Bristol Rovers. He has moments of wow. And he has moments of, wow, that was bad. I don't know. Bearing in mind, right, at the start of the summer, I always do a summer transfer list. He was top of my list that I wanted us to bring in. When we signed him, I don't drink alcohol, but I had a bottle of champagne. I was absolutely buzzing. But it just never worked. He looked lightweight in times. He couldn't control or trap a ball more often than not. Couldn't really play a 5-yard pass in some matches. And then other games, he would look like the coming of Kevin De Bruyne. It was bizarre. He was the most contrasting player. It also turned very toxic this season. And obviously you probably have heard of everything that happened with him.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go into that too much.
No, for sure. So I think it was the right decision for him to move out on loan this season, because it never quite worked. I liked Hutchinson. I thought he was a really nice bloke. But he never seemed happy here. And most of the fans didn't seem happy with his performances. From a performance-based point of view, he underperformed. But I was so excited. I was so excited to watch him play. And I think he got, 27 goal contributions or something?
Yeah, I think it's about 23. I think 23, 24 goals.
How did he do at your end? Because I've heard a lot of Walsall fans say something differently about Hutchinson's time with you.
Well, obviously opinions vary, but I think he was a key player for us from set piece deliveries, and he got a lot of his contributions and goals from that. But my criticism of him at the time, Walsall were trying to play a high press, but he wasn't the guy to be putting his foot in and working hard. When we got into a really heavy, rough game, he'd sort of go missing.
Okay. So almost like a bit of a luxury kind of player as opposed to...
And the thing, when he left, it was like 23 goal contributions. How we're going to replace a player of that ability?
Yeah.
Well, what we replaced him with was a cohesive pressing unit of which he didn't really sort of fit as such. Since he's gone, we've sort of pressing teams as a unit much more aggressive in the press. And he never really did that. And that was sort of a bit disjointed. He was creating a lot when he was on the ball, but he wasn't winning the ball. And a lot of the time, like, my vision of him now should be thinking of the great free kicks he scored. But in my head, I'm just thinking of him about 22 yards out, passing the ball sideways, having a little run, passing it, and they're just messing around on the edge of the box and never getting through.
Yeah.
And then ultimately probably losing the ball.
Yeah, so, I mean, and this is what I mean about frustrating, right? And this is what I also mentioned earlier about being good on paper. I think sometimes context is so important, Simon. You know, it might look really, really impressive on paper, but I think it is, you know, three managers really, if you look at interim, they just couldn't get the best out of him, and even DC this season, it just couldn't get the best out of him, unfortunately. And deadly from a set piece, you are right. I mean, in and around the box, deadly, but just that was about it, you know. And it was really a shame because I was so excited. I was so excited when he joined us. I thought, wow, this is a big statement signing.
Yeah.
But I guess it goes to show that not every on paper signing is good on the pitch. Yeah,
that's it. And it was strange. He sort of moved on, and then we got Tyler Allen became the set piece man, and lots of assists and that sort of stuff. And then he moves on. So thinking more about this season, there's several players we want to sort of touch on. But first of all, Darryl Clark, how happy are you with him now? Really happy?
I just love the bloke. Honestly, I absolutely love him. I think that there is an attachment to him from his time here. I think there is. He says quite a lot that there is a certain mold that you need to be a Bristol Rovers player, and he just seems to get it. My only criticism, and you can correct me if you disagree, that's fine. We said earlier that he's not afraid to change it, right? But I also find that he can be quite stubborn with persisting with things that he thinks is going to work. So like the back three, like the back five, it doesn't work for us at the minute. It hasn't worked. Okay, yes, he's gone to a back four, but every now and again he does try that formation. He's got a decision in his brain. I know that this will work. We brought in a guy called Stefan Negru, and he flourishes in a back three. He's injured at the minute. We haven't seen him play for Rovers since he signed. But we all know that he's going to persist with this back three and back five. And he's not afraid to change it. But it's the criticism of that stubbornness sometimes as well. Sometimes his substitutions are a little bit odd. You're looking at thinking, I wouldn't have made that. But ultimately, if we win the game, then, you know, he knows better than us. But from a man point of view, just a top bloke, a really top bloke, has time for everybody. Really loves the club, which you can see. We love him as well, and he just gets it. He just gets it, and I just think that's exactly what we needed. And I was a little bit skeptical about him coming back. I was, and listen, Simon, we're talking at what, the 30th of September? Like, we're barely into the season.
Yeah,
but he just seems to have got the mentality right of if you don't want to do the hard running, you don't play for this football club. And I think that's what we needed. Some people compared a couple of our previous managers of last season to like head teachers. There's no real respect from the fans or the players, sorry. But you respect Darryl, and he is not a head teacher. He said very clearly in an interview, I would never have taken this job if all of the backroom noise was true, you know. So he's shifted that mentality, and I quite like him saying, you know, look, we're not done. We're nowhere near where we want to be. I'm sure we'll get onto this later, but we're not we win games, but we're not looking overly convincing in all of the games. But we're winning, and he's grinding results out for us. So at the minute, I can't complain really.
That's it. I think he's on about when he was with you before, 42% win percentage.
Yeah.
On at 41.7 at the minute. 32.9 when he was at Walsall. So it just didn't click completely with Walsall. First player I want to talk about, Alfie Chang. He was on loan with Walsall last season. Looked a very tidy player, and he's a player we would have liked back. But he's ended up with you guys. What do you think of Alfie Chang so far? He seems to have moved him around a little bit.
Yeah, he's mustard. Absolutely unbelievable player. I mean, there's no way he should be playing in League Two. There's no way. I think he's easily a League One capable player. I am surprised, like you said, he's moved him around a little bit. I thought he would come in to fill a different role, but he's tried him in the 6, he's tried him in the 8, he's tried him in the 10, and he just seems to flourish. I mean, he's got 2 assists already for us. The assist he got for the 3rd goal at Newport away, Ellis Harrison's goal, which again, we've got a nice little connection there. Yeah. The way he just kept the ball, shimmy past a few players, found a yard and just digged out across. He's brilliant, and he's very capable and versatile in many different positions in that midfield. More so than I thought. He's surprised me of how adaptable he can be. Unsurprised by the quality that he has, because there's no way that he should be playing in League Two, and it's a real coup. And we've also got an option to buy. I'm not sure if you've seen that, but we've got the option to buy him as well alone. So there's no way we don't activate that. It might just be from his end. Hopefully he says yes. But what a player.
I think that could have been why he ended up with yourselves rather than with Walsall, perhaps.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, we've got a bigger budget in the league, I suppose, according to what our owners have been saying. We've got one of the biggest in the league, so we have the money maybe to do that. Yeah,
that's it's a big one for me. Alfie Chang and George Hall. We had both of them at Walsall last season, and both of them coming off the back of real bad injuries.
Yeah.
George Hall sort of broke down after a couple of games and then had a gap and then came back in. Alfie Chang, when he joined us in January, wasn't fit. So it took him a while to get up to speed to be able to get ready for the team. And I think my only concern for him and you guys would be how long he stays fit for.
Yes.
If he stays fit for the whole season, then he is going to be one of the reasons why you'll be top 7. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. And it's very funny you say that, because if I just list off a few players that we've signed this summer: Alfie Chang, Macaulay Southern-Hales, Alfie Kilgore, Josh McEachran. There are 4 players already. I could go on, by the way, who have suffered really big injuries. And we've signed them because it's very much, if they stay fit, we know what they can do. But they are a risk. They are a risk. But so far, Josh McEachran, we call him Josh McTeckers down here because he's so good. But he's played his first 90 minutes. Promise Cherry, there we go. There's another injury prone. He's currently out. So the caliber of players we've got is great, but you are spot on. A couple of them are very injury prone, and I'm just hoping that doesn't reoccur this season.
Yeah, I think as with most teams in League Two, you pick up players that have a history of injuries. That's quite common, I think. His fitness throughout the season will be a factor. Whether Darryl will sort of take him in and out to sort of protect him a little bit, because when you get into the winter pitches and that sort of stuff and the winter schedule, that's could be a problem for him, sort of maintaining fitness in that. But I think he's probably a fitter player than George Hall is, to be honest.
Okay.
But Port Vale paid good money for George Hall, and given that he's not really played more than about 8 or 9 games without an injury, is a big risk, I think, for them.
We can save the promise.
Yeah, for you to get Alfie Chang on loan with an option to buy is the much better option, I think.
Yeah,
much better
I agree.
option. Ellis Harrison, Walsall got him on loan. Now, this is what sort of frustrated me last season. In January, we were clear top of the league. So you would think in January we're bringing in players ready for League One. And we brought in Levi Amanchi, who couldn't get a game for Bromley.
No.
And Ellis Harrison, who couldn't get a start for MK. So it was like, that's not the right kind of players we want to be bringing in.
And especially after losing Nathan Lowe as well, you've got to sign big caliber at that top of the pitch.
Well, the other guy we got, let's not talk about Ethan Wheatley. But very briefly, Ethan Wheatley was sort of like, here's a ready-made replacement for Nathan Lowe.
Right.
But he'd just not played enough adult football to be anywhere near the level he needed to be. Even though great talent and will go on to be really good in the game, I'm sure. But he was just not ready for area arse defenders, effectively.
No. Yeah.
But Ellis Harrison, when we brought him in, the transfer window had closed and we hadn't bought a striker in. And then it was announced the following day that they'd brought him in. So I don't know what went on with that. It was sort of definitely must have been late show.
Late, yeah.
And I thought, because we'd been relying heavily on Jamil Matt, I thought this is a sensible choice. Jamil Matt, give him 70, 75 minutes and then get Ellis Harrison on. But they started playing them both together. So two senior strikers, neither of them with massive pace, playing together. And it just didn't work. And he persisted with it. But Ellis Harrison was never going to be the prolific goal scorer to replace Nathan Lowe. What do you think of Ellis Harrison from what you've seen so far?
If you would have asked me this 3 months ago, I originally said no. When we were linked to him, I said, I put a tweet out, put a video out, everything. I said, no, not for me. Because since leaving the gas, he scored something like, I don't know, like it was something like 45 goals in about 250 games or something like that. I'm misquoting that slightly, but injury prone, hasn't really done it since he left us, etc. Getting on a little bit now, but I did say if we are going to sign him, I think he's our third choice striker. I just think he is. Simon, I could not have been more wrong. He has been a breath of fresh air up top for us. So much so that I've been clipped on no context Bristol Rovers. I've had this, that, and the other. Oh, it's my worst tweet of all time. And I will hold my hands up and say, yeah, I completely undervalued what an asset he is under Darryl Clark. He is the master of holding that ball up for us at the top of the pitch. He pops up with goals. He works hard. He leads from the front. And it's I don't know what it is about him pulling on the blue and white quarters of the gas, but it just brings out the best in him. He's got 4 goals already this season. And I think that's 3 in the league, 1 in the cup. And he just pops up in these little places where if he gets a sniff, he takes it. The XG to conversion rate of his is superb. We haven't created that many chances. You'll notice this essentially in full on Saturday. We don't create an overload of chances in a lot of games. But if it falls to him or another little striker called Fabrizio Caven, more often than not, it does go in. And he's clinical. He's taken the chances he's given. I'm so happy. I'm so happy with him that he's doing well, because I along as many other gas heads, I was skeptical. I really was. But he's been brilliant. He's been brilliant.
He took some goals for us quite well, to be honest.
Yeah.
He finished some good chances. It was just, I don't think he was what we needed at that point.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair comment.
Jamil Matt can hold the ball up. Ellis Harrison was similar kind of player. We needed the other guy. And that's why I thought he was going to be the guy to cover Jamil Matt. and then he's played them together. So it was frustrating as the season unfolded. It was sort of all go wrong, really.
Yeah.
Similar to your season, I guess. But
I mean, from an outside looking in at that, I was just, wow, I couldn't believe what I was witnessing, the fall off from January onwards. It was, I felt so bad for all of you because it was, I just thought it was set in stone. You were a League One side, and then it was gutting to
well,
I can imagine it was awful to be there.
A lot of people mention Nathan Lowe, but when Nathan Lowe, the way Walsall had been playing, a very high intense press for about 60-65 minutes, and then we'd take off Charlie Lakin and Jamie Jellis and bring on Jack Earing and George Hall. And they were both good technical players, and we were scoring a lot of goals in that last half an hour. Nathan Lowe went, and within a week George Hall and Jack Earing both got injured. So the two guys, Lakin and Jellis, who were playing the high press for 60 minutes, were then trying to play it for 90 minutes.
For 90,
when they're already knackered.
Yeah.
Do that for 5-6 games, and they were shot.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And a lot of the players they were new to the EFL. It was Jamie Jellis's first season in the first full season in EFL. Connor Barrett, first season as a full-time pro. And until he got suspended, he played him every single game.
Right.
And that's in the trophy games as well. He played every single minute of every single game, pretty much, until sort of around about March when he got a yellow card, too many yellow cards, and had a game off.
Yeah.
And so he just thrashed them, and that the team were just exhausted. And then
it's shattered.
It's like when I've used this quite often. When you're winning every week. You've got all the energy in the world. You lose a few games.
It becomes a slog, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you realise where you're at then. And then the bit of the leadership was lacking. A big change this season, Aidan Flint, which everybody knows who Aidan Flint is.
Yeah.
That character in the dressing room and on the pitch, if he'd have been with us last season, we would not have slipped away.
Yeah, you need a few like that in the dressing room, don't you? You really do.
Yeah, and he's a massive addition, sort of in stature and as well as sort of goal threat and defensive quality. The Gats, of course, go into these 7 games unbeaten. Last time you beat 16th of August away to Chesterfield. Chesterfield got a good side. And Walsall, 6 games in the league unbeaten. So Chesterfield, MK, Salford, sort of notable victories. You guys, Cambridge, Grimsby, and Salford. So at Grimsby, the ones that did us over. How did you find Grimsby?
Oh gosh, it was unexpected. I'll put it that way. A moment of real quality from Maka to absolutely nail it. And it just flew into. I loved his interview. He said, as it was dropping, I thought, this is either going into Rosette or is flying into the back of the net, and it was the latter. He absolutely leathered it. It was a tough game. It was a tough game. It took a lot of defending. They missed a fair few chances, Grimsby. There was a moment in it where towards the end of the game, I think it was maybe, was it Cabia? Anyway, someone took a shot, and Alfie Kilgore clears it off the line, and the scenes. And then we went on a little run about, with all the clean sheets and stuff. It was all a bit bizarre, but yeah, I mean, it was a tough old game, but it was quite nice to firstly win an away game, and secondly to prove that we can grind out a result, because that's something we were not doing last season.
It's all set up nicely for Saturday. I think 2 form teams. Both of us won 5, drawn 1 in the last 6. So it's going to be fun. Have you got a prediction for me?
I do. Now, I'm going to go with the same prediction that I had for Salford, and it was wrong. So I'm hoping that is the same again. I'm hoping it's a lucky charm when I predict us to draw. But I do think, look, we went to Colchester, we got a draw. In hindsight, that was a great point because we were not very good at all. We do concede chances. You guys are clinical. I think it's going to be a 2-2. A Desmond 2-2 is what I'm going for. A 2-2 draw. A Desmond 2-2 draw. I would take it. I would shake your hand for that now. Continue the unbeaten run. I know I want to say that we will win, but I like you, I don't want to get carried away. So I'm going to go down the middle. I'm going to play it safe and go 2-2.
Okay. Next up for you guys, you're home to MK and home to Tranmere. So 2 more winnable games. Walsall away to Crawley, home to Barrow. And so we never know what's going to happen with those.
No.
But yeah, interesting one. I'm going to go for 2-1, which is my favourite prediction.
Okay, fair enough.
But at the moment, Walsall ahead on points compared to where they were this time last season.
Really?
So, yeah, that's we're a couple of points ahead.
I didn't know that.
So
wow,
that's
impressive.
That's really positive. So we just need to hold it in there and keep going. And Josh, it's been good. The away game, I'm definitely going to get down there. And Smoke and Mirrors, you mentioned, is the place where you do a little bit of your magic.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
If it's a Saturday, which I should have looked, shouldn't I? If it's a Saturday, then I'm definitely going to be there and having a look at that.
That'd be
nice
great.
One. The joy and the pain. Cheers, Manny. Thanks for coming on. Cheers.
Thank you very much. Thank you, my friend.
Cheers.